All right, let's talk about something that's, well, pretty much everything in global trade. The Harmonized System, or HS code. It dictates duties, it dictates controls, it dictates whether your goods even make it across the border. And getting it wrong, it can be a total disaster. So that's what we're going to tackle today. How to build a classification that isn't just correct, but is absolutely bulletproof.
I mean, it sounds like a simple question, right? But the answer? Wow, it can get complicated and expensive, fast. This is way more than just a little typo on a form. Think of it like a set of dominoes. One wrong code, and the financial and logistical problems just start to fall, one after another, hitting your business hard. So what exactly is on the line here?
Just look at this list of potential headaches. You could land in a completely wrong chapter of the tariff, and if that happens, bam, your country of origin claims are invalid, and you can kiss that duty relief goodbye. And what follows? You guessed it, customs disputes, your shipments get stuck, and then come the fines. So yeah, it's pretty clear that just guessing or picking a code is not going to cut it. You need a process you can actually defend.
Okay, so how do we build that bulletproof defense? Well, it all starts right here. Phase 1, building out a super detailed, evidence-based profile of your product. And I want to be clear, this has nothing to do with your marketing slogans. We're talking about building a factual case file, something a customs officer can look at and immediately understand.
First things first, identity evidence. What does that mean? It means you have to define exactly what your product is, completely stripped of any marketing spin or branding. We're talking technical names, model numbers, physical characteristics, even its packaging. This is where you grab those engineering drawings and technical data sheets to lay down the first layer of hard facts.
All right, next up is probably the single most critical piece of the puzzle for customs, its function. Seriously, they don't care that much about what you call it. They care about what it does. This right here, this is the absolute cornerstone of your whole argument, so getting this part precise is non-negotiable.
And this example, it just shows you the difference perfectly. If you say it's a control unit, that's vague, right? It just begs more questions. But if you say it's an electronic unit controlling propeller pitch via hydraulic signals, well, that's a technical fact. It's super specific, you can verify it, and it gives a customs agent exactly the info they need to do their job right.
So a lot of products do more than one thing. You know, a smartwatch is a perfect example. Yeah, sure, it tells time, but is that its main job? Not really. Its primary function, what customs calls its essential character, is communication, and that's exactly why it gets classified as a telecom device, not a watch. Figuring out and being able to prove that primary function is just so important.
Oh, and here's a classic trap people fall into all the time, and it can be super costly, mixing up a part with a whole machine. Think about it like this. You've got an electric motor. If it's designed only to be used in a specific HVAC fan unit and it can't do anything by itself, then it's a part of that unit. If you classify it as just a general-purpose motor, that's a big mistake, and you can bet customs will spot it.
Want a pro tip? Something the experts do? For every single product you handle, write a simple, one-line statement describing its technical function. Just one line. Then, store that statement in a central place along with all the documents that back it up. It's a simple habit, but it creates incredible consistency and makes defending your choices during an audit so much easier.
Okay, so we've got our product evidence locked down. It's solid. Now we can move on to phase 2, which is where we start to decode the legal rules. This is where we take all those facts about our product and apply the, let's be honest, pretty complex framework of the tariff. It's all about connecting the product's reality to the language of the law.
And you have to remember the golden rule here. It is so important. It doesn't matter how perfectly you think your product fits into a description. If there's a legal note in that chapter that says this is excluded, then it's excluded. End of story. These aren't just helpful suggestions. They are legally binding.
You know, a really strong classification isn't just about grabbing the first heading that seems to fit. Nope. It's about looking at several different possibilities. And then, this is the key part, documenting why you picked one over the others. Like, you can see here, maybe you reject heading A because a chapter note kicks it out, and you pick heading B because it's way more specific about the function. That written reasoning, that becomes your core argument when an auditor comes knocking.
All right, on to the final phase, putting the finishing touches on our defensible case. We've gathered the evidence, we've navigated the legal rules. Now it's time to really stress test our conclusion and make sure this thing is genuinely audit-proof.
Think of this last checklist as your final quality control. You got to ask yourself a few questions. First, are we dealing with items sold as a set, like a toolkit, because that gets classified as a single thing?
Second, does the HS code we picked actually line up with our country of origin claims so we can get that duty relief? What about regulatory stuff? Does this code trigger any extra controls, like needing a license? And last but not least, has Customs already made a ruling on a similar product? Going through these questions helps you patch up any potential holes in your case.
So, just to recap, let's quickly hit those common mistakes again. Number 1, using marketing descriptions instead of real technical facts. Number 2, not figuring out the true primary function. And number 3, calling a part a complete machine. If you can just avoid those 3 things, you're already way ahead of the game. Your classifications will be so much better.
And I want to leave you with this one last thought, and it's maybe the most important one. You can be an absolute genius at classification, have the most perfect logic, but if you can't show an auditor how you got there, if it's not documented, it basically doesn't exist. That audit trail, that well-organized proof of your work, isn't just a nice to have, it's everything. It's your ultimate defense. So the real question is, what does your audit file look like?